Hi, Creative Cutie. Today is an exciting one because I'm going to share my greatest creative project yet. When it started, when it's launching, and why I'm so excited to see it grow. Because wait for it, dun 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 dun, pregnant. I'm pregnant. We're having a baby, kids. Welcome to Unleash Your Inner Creative with Lauren LaGrasso. I'm Lauren LaGrasso, a 3-time Webby Award-winning host, producer, keynote speaker, creative coach, and future mother. And this show is meant to give you tools to love, trust, and know yourself enough to claim your birthright to creativity and go after your heart's deepest desires, aka your dreams. We're going to do some of those tools today, and I'm going to share all about my pregnancy journey, what it has revealed about my creativity and life, and my thoughts on my creative career and creative careers in general post-baby. So let's start at not the very beginning, but the beginning of when I found out I was pregnant. I'll take you back to the year 2025. It was December 2025. So early December, I think it was December 2nd or 3rd. Yeah, December 2nd. Thanksgiving had just happened. I did take a pregnancy test just to be certain. It came back negative. This was on a Monday. On a Sunday, I took a pregnancy test. It came back negative. And the next day, on the day I was supposed to get my period, I got what I thought was my period. I've since found out there's this thing called implantation bleeding, and that's actually what was happening. But it was very tricky because it came on the same exact day, so it fooled me. So I went that whole Monday thinking everything was just normal, and I was just having the same menstrual cycle I'd had every single month since I was in middle school. Well, turns out the next day, which has never happened in the history of my life, it disappeared. And I was like, that's suspicious. And then, I don't know, it just, the period kept not coming back. Sorry if this is TMI, but I just have to share it with you because it's kind of wild. It kept not coming back. And so basically, I was like, something's off. Something is not normal. Of course, my thoughts, I can go spiral so quickly. I'm like, am I going through menopause? That was my first thought. But then when I came back to earth, I'm like, what if I'm pregnant? I mean, I did take a test 2 days ago, but I guess I could be pregnant right now. But I was like, no, can't be that. It's not that easy to get pregnant. I've always been told it's not. Okay, when I was younger, I was told basically you could get pregnant from someone looking at you the wrong way. Definitely you could get pregnant through a dry hump, okay? As I got older, I've been told it's very difficult to get pregnant. You have to be scientific about it. It's especially not easy as you get older. So it's not going to happen that easy. And it might take you months or even years. So I certainly didn't think it would be that easy because we had been trying, but more so just not trying, if you know what I mean. And so as the day went on, the period kept not coming back. And then I can't explain it. And those of you that have had children will kind of get this, but I started having this feeling of just a bloat beyond anything I had experienced, a bloated feeling that felt as if there was a being inside of me. And so I'd taken that pregnancy test on a Sunday and I still had 2 left over. It was a pack of 3. Your girl loves a value. It was a CVS brand, by the way. So I was like, you know what? I've got 2 more pregnancy tests. I fell asleep on Tuesday night. I woke up at 5 a.m. on Wednesday, or maybe 6. And I was like, I'm just going to take another one. Still don't have my period after getting it. Something weird is happening. So I took it really expecting to see negative, and they say that you're supposed to wait 2 or 3 minutes. Within a minute, sure enough, it was a positive. And I was like, oh my God, could that be accurate? I later found out after taking 3 pregnancy tests plus 1 in a doctor's office that even the at-home ones are 99% accurate. Okay. So I take the test. And by the way, I'm at my parents' house right now, in my childhood bedroom as I'm figuring all this out because we had gone home for Thanksgiving. So I took the test. I slowly walk back to the canopy bed that I have slept in since I was 8 years old. I got it in 3rd grade. And Timmy's still asleep. And I wake him up, of course, because I'm like, I can't deal with this news by myself. And I wake him up and I'm like, hey, I think I'm pregnant. And he was like, what? And I was like, well, I just took a pregnancy test. I had my period on Monday, but then it went away. And so I thought that was weird and I was feeling really bloated. So I took another pregnancy test and it's saying I'm pregnant. And he's like, wow, okay, well, like maybe just to be sure, we should wait a couple hours and then take another one. I'm like, yeah, I agree. So we were just both dumbfounded because I have been like believing myself how hard it's going to be to get pregnant. Plus, I've been telling Tim for years, like, we might have problems with fertility because I'm, now at that point, I was 36. I'm 36. You're 35. Like, I've been hearing everything that is really hard. I've been told that my numbers were off even. And so we'll get into that in a minute because there's a really good lesson for this for anybody on what I call pre-suffering. So I want to put a pin in that and come back to it and just worry in general. But I'm sitting there with him and I think we're just both dumbfounded because we just didn't think it would be that easy. And I decide we'll wait a couple hours. I'll take another test. So I took the third and final test that I had from my little CVS pot and I went into the bathroom and sure enough, another positive. So at that point, I'm pretty sure because I don't think you get 2 positive tests and it's not correct. Like they say you can get false negatives, but false positives are very, very rare. And you have to excuse me. I do have my C-bands on because I'm still experiencing a little nausea, but it's gotten so much better, by the way. I'm now in my 2nd trimester. But at that point, pretty sure we have it. Randomly, it's so weird. We were going back home to Los Angeles the following day. And I had scheduled a doctor's appointment for that day with my general practitioner. And I kept thinking to myself, why did I do that? Like the last thing I want to do when I get home is go to the doctor. Like this makes no sense. I should just cancel it. But I kept not canceling it. So I called them like, hey, I'm going to still come in tomorrow. But instead of like the checkup that we had planned, I need to see if I'm pregnant. And they're like, oh, wow. I don't think they get that a lot because they're family medicine doctors versus, being a gynecologist. And so they were really excited. And so we flew back we actually tried to get another pregnancy test, but I didn't know this, but word to the wise, you can pee on the test too much and it can like disqualify you. So if you need to take a pregnancy test, just be like very not aggressive in your attempt to take it. Basically, I took a digital one and it like broke it because of the way I took it. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. We come home the next morning. I still had I had a test here in LA, so I took another one. So this is now Thursday because that all happened on a Wednesday. I took another one just to be comprehensive, and again, this was a digital one, so it came back pregnant. It literally said pregnant across it. So I'm like, pretty sure it's happening, but we'll go to the doctor just to have 100% certainty. And so we went to the doctor. They took a urine test. Sure enough, it came back positive. And so the doctor was like, Lauren, you're definitely pregnant. Congratulations. And was so excited for me. And my doctor's office is actually in Santa Monica. So after that, I came out and I told Tim and he was so excited. And we went down to the Santa Monica Pier and, well, actually like the bluffs, which overlook the pier. And we just saw the most beautiful, I'll have to share the pictures with you, beautiful sunset I've ever seen in my life. And we were just like, it felt like a blessing saying that like everything was going to be okay. It was also really special because the day we found out for sure we were pregnant, that Thursday, was actually Tim's late brother William's birthday. So it felt like almost a gift from him. And like it was just, I can't even describe to you, like a cotton candy sky with the most beautiful sunset on the ocean that you've ever seen. And then we went and got Korean food and celebrated our little one that was coming. So that's how I found out I was pregnant. And I don't think I've really shared much about this on the podcast, but the reason why all that feels like such a miracle is because for the longest time, like honestly, like as far back as I can remember, even in high school, I was like afraid I would be infertile. I had this fear. I remember saying to one of my best friends in high school, like, oh my gosh, I'm scared I won't be able to have a baby someday. We were in the Gap. And I remember saying that to her. It's like, why did that thought enter my head as a 14-year-old? But I've had that thought since then. And then when you reach your 30s, if you're a woman in your 30s, you know, everybody starts really scaring the shit out of you and telling you it will be hard. Expect problems, have kids as soon as you can. If you do wait until, God forbid, you're 35 or older, it's going to be so difficult. You're probably going to have to do some sort of fertility clinic. And so, I mean, like literally when I walked into the doctor when I was 30 and I had not met Tim, I was with another person who was not the right person to procreate with. And she goes to me, do you think you can have a baby in the next 5 years? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't financially stable at that time. There were so many things going on, but she really scared me. And I get it. She's seen so many women in their 30s. Even she had like fertility issues. She told me that she couldn't get pregnant when she was 32 and she had to do IVF. So I understand why people warn you and they want you to be prepared. But I think that the level of fear-mongering and pressure on women, especially women in their 30s and beyond, is causing women like me who actually had less than no issue getting pregnant to think that they will have the story of infertility when it wasn't my story. Like I had so prepared that I was going to have some sort of fertility issue that I did what I call pre-suffering. I mean, I lived a whole life that was not mine. I planned. I was like, okay, if I can't get pregnant, within the first year, then I'll do IUI, which is artificial insemination. If I can't get pregnant through that, then I'll do IVF. If I can't get pregnant through that, then I'll do egg donor, and all that's good. It's good to be prepared. But like the way I believed that was my story when it wasn't my story. And I wasted so much energy worrying about it. Like Tim and I, in the beginning of our relationship, like I was so paranoid about it that like I couldn't even enjoy myself at times in the beginning of our relationship because I was like, oh my God, we have to have a baby, And so I did so much pre-suffering for a story that wasn't even mine. And if I could impart one piece of wisdom on you, whether it's, you're in a similar situation where you're in your 30s, you want to have kids and you're worried about it because you either haven't found your person or it's not the right time yet, or you have any other number of things going on that you're worrying about that either it's a pressure you're putting on yourself that society has put on you or a combination of the two. Let me just say, you can pre-prepare and plan without pre-suffering. So it's really, really important to learn the difference between the two. And like one thing I'm not doing for the rest of my pregnancy or parenting journey is believing that other people's experiences will be my own. I'm taking in all the information and I will take all the advice, but I am not going to believe that anything is my story until I'm proven that it is my story, because it's a complete waste of time. I wasted so much life worrying about fertility, and it turned out not to be a concern for me. And so, and that doesn't take away from anybody who has had fertility issues, but I think it's just as dangerous to assume something bad is going to happen to you as to like assume something good is going to happen to you. Like just maintain a level of neutrality, be prepared, but also be open to the fact that it could be a lot easier than you think. Just because somebody else has suffered and had a hard go at something doesn't necessarily mean you will. Be prepared for if things go wrong, but also be prepared for if things go right, and just maintain a level of neutrality about any given issue until you know what your story and your journey is. Because you can never predict this stuff. It only takes one good egg, So that would be my advice for anything in life. Do not pre-suffer. Do not take yourself down an entire road before you know if it's even your story. Speaking of which, one thing that I've learned a lot about is pregnancy and parenting projection. People project on you in general in life, but man, they project on you so bad when you are pregnant. And also just give really unhelpful advice like, uh-oh, you better watch out. You better get your sleep now because you won't get it once you have kids. It's like, Do you think I don't know that sleep is going to be challenged once I have kids? Like, here's what I'd like to say to anybody who wants to give me quote unquote advice like that. Stop just saying ominous things without a solution. Like, I'm already well aware that kids take a lot of energy and that I will be woken up in the night to feed my child. Unless you have some sort of solution for that or advice on how you got through it, you telling me to sleep right now is like telling a child to enjoy their youth. It's kind of like meaningless. I understand that I'm going to be sleeping less once the baby gets here. And also, like, again, going back to like not pre-suffering, I'm not going to suffer about that now because it hasn't happened yet. So it's like, unless you have a piece of advice on how to get through that, stop saying it. It's the least helpful thing ever. The projection is also really challenging. I think a lot of people, because they want to prepare you or they want to share their experience or connect with you, tell you like the worst things that happen to them and make you think it's inevitable that it's going to happen to you. And again, I think that there is a way to share these things without being like, well, watch out, you know? I'm thinking specifically with how sometimes people talk about like raising different babies of different genders. Like they'll be like, oh, well, boys are crazy and rambunctious. Or it's like, well, girls, you always have to worry about them. And not only is that like super gendered and off-putting for several reasons, but it's like, you don't know what my baby is going to be like. So, and you, like, there's no way like I can even know that right now, although I have a good feeling about it. It's just so interesting how people like project their own experience onto you. I do think it's all coming from a good place, but I thought it was bad with weddings, but like I'm finding that with babies, it's even more intense. And obviously it's like more personal because it's like not a one-day event. It's your literal flesh and blood. So yeah, I have just been noticing that, and that's really interesting. I'm just sharing all my thoughts with you. I mean, it's been so crazy keeping this from you too. Like, can you imagine? I've known since December. So I've been doing all these podcast episodes, knowing I'm pregnant and not being able to tell you. It's been torture. It really has been torture. Another thing, I'm just like sharing everything that has been coming to mind and that I've been like kind of writing down. One thing that's been really interesting, we've talked a lot on the podcast about like how rest is part of the creative process and you need to slow down. Well, I mean, being pregnant and having a baby is like one of the most creative things you can do. You're literally giving birth, giving life. And rest has definitely been part of that creative process. And it's been challenging for me. I just can't push myself the way I have been. It's interesting. I said to my friend Steffi, aka Spirit Sis, she's been on the podcast and is a very wise and great friend. She is into human design. And I'm like, you know what? It's interesting. I think having a baby is finally forcing me to, at least on some days, actually live as a projector. And if you're not aware, human design is a system kind of similar to astrology, but it's its own thing. And it tells you how your energy is meant to exist in the world. I'm this type called a projector, and projectors are only supposed to work 4 to 5 hours a day. So, I mean, there's definitely days when I've worked longer than that, but like there are days when I just like haven't had it in me to work more than that. And it's been interesting to absolutely have to listen to my body because especially during my first trimester, if I push myself too much, it would wind up my nervous system and make me nauseated. So it's just so fascinating the way the body during this experience really teaches you exactly what you need. Like even the way I've been having food aversions. I love coffee. It's my favorite thing. I'm slowly now starting to reintroduce it, but it still doesn't really sit well with me. I like the flavor now, but your body literally rejects the things that aren't good for it because like coffee is very acidic. And so, by the way, it's a myth that you can't have caffeine. You can have up to 200 milligrams of caffeine. So don't at me. But yeah, coffee is very acidic. So like because I was experiencing nausea in my first semester of college for babies, because I was experiencing it in my first trimester, it just didn't sit well with me. Another interesting thing that you should know if you ever end up wanting to have a baby is morning sickness is a myth. It's all day sickness, or for me, evening sickness. I got most sick at night, which was kind of nice because like during the day, I was totally able to have my energy about me and go about my life. But at night, it was a tragic tale. It was Vom City. By the way, I didn't even say this. I'm doing this from my bed because that's what I can handle right now. And it's just so much cozier. And I feel like if I'm telling you like the most intimate information of my life, like that I'm pregnant and having a baby and all the things around that, then I need to do it from my lair. Another thing that being pregnant and having a baby has really crystallized for me is what's important right now, because I think we've talked about this on the podcast and we'll get into this in a little bit, but every single person I've had on my show has had this, but I specifically focused on women because I'm thinking about motherhood. And every single woman I've had on my show has had their greatest success in their career, in their creative career, post-child, if they were mothers. And so I think about that a lot. And I think part of why that may be true is because you don't have the time or energy to deal with things that don't move the needle for you and that don't bring you joy, because you could otherwise be with your child. Like, am I really going to choose going to coffee with this random person that isn't filling me or bringing anything to my life or isn't like a reciprocal relationship when I could be with my child instead? I think that's a big part of it. But I think it's also you just literally don't have the energy for things that don't fill you and that don't light you up or move you forward. And I'm already starting to see a piece of that with my pregnancy, like really clarifying what is important to me, which is doing more creative coaching. By the way, if you're interested in creative coaching, reach out. I am available. Doing more podcast consulting and speaking. And then also doing music for joy right now. Really like clarifying what's important career-wise and and I'm also working on some courses for both podcasting and for creativity. So there'll be ongoing courses, which is really cool. You can buy it and then you'll have it in perpetuity and you can take it as many times as you want. But it's been really interesting to see the way it's kind of helped me hone in on my business and on all the creative things I'm doing and how I want to really grow in that area. And on that, there's two dichotomies I'm holding since I've never had a child before. And I've always been besides, Tim and my family and friends, riding solo in this creative career and not really had somebody else to think about or to care for besides myself and my partner, but he's a grown adult, so he's okay. I think I'm holding two truths. One is that I know this is going to be new creative fuel, and I'm already seeing the ways it is generative in me and helping bring out new ideas. I want to write more children's music and I want to do a children's show, and I want to do things that me and my kid can enjoy together. And I do have this fear just because I think, again, it's a societal thing where people are once you have kids, it's all over, basically, especially that's put on women. I know it's not true, but there's still a part of me that's grappling with that and scared about that. And so I just want to be upfront that is something I'm thinking about. But the bigger part of me and the wiser part of me knows that this is going to be something that really expands me. And of course, it's going to be an adjustment when the baby's really little and they need a ton of care. But I'm really excited to see how it expands my creative self and how it changes how I show up in the world, what I want to talk about, what I want to sing about, what I want to share about on stage. It was really interesting. I did a speech at Pinterest last spring. And at the end, I was getting asked some questions about kids. And I was I would be happy to give you my advice. Here's what I think. But I'm not a mom. And so at the end of the day, you have to trust yourself. And I had this thought. I was I got to get a kid. My work isn't going to be half as meaningful without having this life experience, because I really know what it was like to be single, to then be in a relationship, to then be married. But I've never known what it's like to have this particular relationship and this particular creative experience, because I think parenting is such a creative experience. Every day, basically it's a new show. So yeah, I did have that thought last May, and it's just really interesting because I do think while yes, there's a reconfiguration that often happens in people's careers, so many people built businesses. On a podcast I produce, we just had this woman on who wrote her business plan when she was 2 weeks overdue with her baby and was building her business and getting funding like when her baby was 3 months. All of the big pushes in her business have happened like while she was pregnant or just after she gave birth. And I do think there's something about being in that generative state, having just brought new life into the world and then bringing some other kind of creative life into the world concurrently. One thing kind of inspires the other if you let it. And so I'm excited to see what that brings out of me. I mean, I think it's fascinating that for the first time in like 11 years, starting in May, I'm going into full-time entrepreneurship. I'm on a contract producing through April. And then after that, I am going to be completely on my own. And I'm like, I think that's so interesting. Like, I've been wanting to go into entrepreneurship for a long time. I've been doing it as much as I can on the side. And the fact that like I am fully diving in and like going all in on my business right now. And that I feel some fear around it because I love security as much as the next gal. But I mostly feel excitement. I feel like this baby is already like forcing me to be brave. And it feels like divine timing. And I'm just so excited to see how my business builds, what I can do. If I've done as much as I have for other people, like I cannot wait to see what I do for myself with my speaking and podcast and coaching and consulting and music. Like what is going to happen when it's all on me? Because magical things have already been happening just since I've been putting more energy in there, but I can't wait to see what will happen once I put all of my work and creative energy into that. It's interesting to me that, I don't know, the baby's giving me like a sense of faith, which you would think I would be freaking out more. And I have some worry. Of course, I'm like not a psychopath, but like, I guess maybe it goes back to the not pre-suffering thing. I'm not going to assume. I've been building up to this for like 5 years. I've been learning from some of the best in the business. You know, I have worked with people who are incredible entrepreneurs and had the privilege of learning from them while I'm building my business on the side. I don't know. I feel ready. And it feels like time to step forward in this way. The universe definitely pushed me into it, but I'm grateful for it. You know, I'm also thinking about types of content I want to do both on this podcast and then in the future, but I'm really interested in talking about, and it's not all going to shift. I mean, this still is going to be a show for people of all walks of life and all different stages of life. And, you know, if you don't have a kid or have no intention of having a kid, 100% the show will still serve you. But I'm really curious to talk to people who are mothers and who have done what I'm seeking to do, which is continue to build a creative career while being a really present, amazing mom. I feel so honored that this little babe came through and they came through so easily. And I've already been writing them music. I've written lots of silly songs with Timmy singing to the baby, but also I've got a really beautiful song that I want to put out for them. And I just want to talk to them about like how they've managed it, how they've built it while building this beautiful family as well. And maybe that will happen on this pod. Also, I'm kind of interested in doing a whole pod about like creativity and motherhood and maybe even partnering with someone on it, you know, partnering with a company or a brand or another woman and doing this like really cool show. But it's already bringing so many ideas to the forefront. And yeah, I'm excited and I feel so blessed that this happened so easily. And I just ask for your good thoughts and prayers that everything is healthy. I mean, so far, everything's healthy. It's the longest I've ever kept a secret, by the way. I mean, I've been getting pretty loose telling people now, but like, it's the longest I've ever kept a secret publicly where I've known something under wraps, you know, especially something this major, but not telling anyone. And it's smart too, because, you know, they always say so much can happen within the first trimester, but it's been torture not being able to tell you. Because I mean, I've been like recording videos and stuff, and I'm definitely on my Instagram. Follow along there at Lauren Lagrasso because I'm going to be doing so much content. I didn't even tell you when I'm due. I'm expecting a little Leo. They're due on August 9th, 2026. Of course, they could come early or late, but more likely than not going to be a little Leo. And it was wild. I got to tell you this because a week after I found out I was pregnant, randomly, I got a call from this guy who used to book me on music shows all the time. And he was like, hey, do you want to play the Viper Room? Which, if you don't know, the Viper Room is one of the biggest music venues in LA. It's like on Sunset Boulevard, highly sought after by musicians, local and from all over the world. And I just randomly got a set on the Viper Room. And I was like, wow, my little Leo baby really wanted to be on stage. I honestly feel like they brought it to me. But yeah, it's already been so special. I already feel so honored to be their mom and to get to share this experience with you. You, my sweet creative cutie, are the first one to know. I'm announcing it here on the pod, breaking news, that I am having a baby. So thank you for being my cherished community. Thank you for being with me. God, you've been with me since I was 30. I'm 37 now. This is the show's 7-year anniversary. Can you believe that? Wow. Who would have thought that 7 years from back, wait, how does this work? Who would have thought that 7 years ago, I would be sitting on my bed in my condo announcing to my amazing listeners that I'm having a baby. I just thank you for all your support and love all this time and for coming on this journey with me. I promise it will be fun. I'm not a normal mom. I'm a cool mom. Yeah. Thank you. You're very special. I have the best listeners in the world because you're soulful, you're creative, and you're on a spiritual and healing journey. So you're just great humans. So thank you for sharing in this news with me. Thank you for listening. And remember, my greatest takeaway for you is prepare, but don't pre-suffer, because you never know if your story might be one of ease. It might. It might be hard, but it might be one of ease. Don't buy into the bad because it could just as easily be good. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you heard, as always, rate, review, follow, leave a comment on Spotify, share the show with a friend, especially a friend who's going through this pregnancy journey and is also a creative. Really helps the show grow. I love you so much. I believe in you. And I'll be back next week. And I believe next week we're actually going to have our episode with Julia Cameron. So stay tuned for that because I ask her some really interesting questions on motherhood, AI, one of her most anticipated creative projects yet that she's had out. So this is the 6th year in a row we've had Julia Cameron on. It's pretty special. She's my idol, and I know many of yours. So I think it's going to be next week. If not, it's the following week. So stay tuned. We got a lot of great content coming out, as always. And I love you, and I believe in you. Talk with you next week. Bye. The baby says bye, too.